Welcome to Unit 2 of the Security Guard curriculum. Unit 2 is about the role of a security guard. I will be making two videos for this unit. This video will be the first half and then a second unit for the second part of it. The objectives of this lesson. Upon completion of this section, the student, without reference to notes, will be able to identify the functions of a security guard and the responsibilities that accompany the position, define, detect, deter, and report, list and describe the duties performed by security guards. Functions of a security guard. The role of a security guard is to provide their client or employer with professional protective services and is dedicated to the principle of maintaining order and security within the area of their control. A security guard must be firm but fair and cognizant, that means aware, that their actions are geared to the safety of people and their property. The primary responsibility of a security guard is to protect persons and or property from harm. But keep in mind that a security guard has no greater task than the protection of persons and property. Public relations. Security guards are the face of the organization they serve. Conduct and appearance are essential to positive public image. All contact should be courteous and professional. And you guys had a chance to do some of this public relations work every time you work security for Questar, for criminal justice. When we do open houses and parent-teacher night, I've told you that you are performing a public relations function, which is definitely a big part of security. We'll talk more about this, but this is why, I've talked about your conduct and your appearance when you're in uniform, because all eyes are drawn to you. And I've put some pictures in here and there just to give you a visual of what we're talking about here. They look courteous and professional. Public relations have become an important part of a security guard's job. A security guard is often under the watchful eye of the public they serve. Therefore, they must conduct themselves in a manner that is above reproach. And reproach means above criticism. The actions and appearance of a security guard will have a great deal to do with the amount of cooperation and respect they receive from the public and coworkers within the workplace. A security guard must treat all persons with courtesy and tact. Tact means manners. They must be firm but polite and carry out job responsibilities to the best of their ability. And there's a lot of parallels between security guards and police officers. This is one example. We talked back in law enforcement about how, if you're respectful towards people, you can be firm and you can be, have authority, but you can do it in a way that's courteous and professional. And you're much more likely to get cooperation from people when you treat them with respect. And that's what this is talking about. And it's no different in security work. Functions of a security guard: character. Honest, well-disciplined, loyal to the organization they serve, and must perform duties no matter how routine. Due to the routine nature of some duties security guards perform, such as patrol, they tend to become somewhat monotonous, and that means boring. However, since the very purpose of conducting such routine responsibilities is to protect persons and the facility, and may involve an element of danger, security guards must constantly be alert for the protection of all involved. And there's just another picture. This is actually the TSA, Transportation Agency at the airports. A security guard company should be honest, well-disciplined, and loyal to its customers or the people that it serves. Since security guards are the custodians of company, client, employees, and property, There is a need for strength of character, failure to prevent damage or theft of property, acceptance of bribes or fees, permitting violation of company policies and procedures, or engaging in unlawful activity of any kind should not occur or be tolerated. Moral courage is required to report fully and accurately all violations of company rules and to enforce all laws, policies, and procedures, rules, and regulations on company property. Alertness is essential, and it might mean the difference between life and death for a security guard and the people that they protect. In the introduction video, I told you guys about all the different kinds of security and all the different places that have security. And so for sure, there's some security that can be very dangerous. That absolutely, if you have an outdated image in your mind of, say, mall cop, and that makes you think that security work is not dangerous, that is not a correct view or belief. And even these days, malls are pretty dangerous when you think about what's been in the news with fights and shootings and things like that. Getting back up here where it's talking about moral courage is required. You may get friendly with some of the people that you work with, and all of a sudden somebody that you like, that you're friends with, does something they're not supposed to. You have to have the moral courage to report that. And if you're not comfortable with that, this is not a career field for you. And it's no different in law enforcement. Police officers pull over or have to arrest people that they know, people that they went to school with. And you have to enforce the rules fairly and consistently for everyone. You cannot have favoritism. Attitude: courteous and considerate, firm but not belligerent, non-threatening, and show a genuine interest in your duties. Attitude is another function of a security guard, as they are often the first contact a visitor or employee has with the organization. The manner in which the visitor or employee is greeted or dealt with may greatly affect their appraisal of a company or organization and their subsequent attitude towards it. It is important to remember to be courteous. It is the expression of consideration for others that eliminates friction and makes personal associations pleasant. And I want to pause here to talk about the fact that private security means almost all of the time that you work for a company who's in business to make money. Private businesses, if they're not making money, they're not in business. It's not like government work. Law enforcement, local, state, and federal, that's government. And we're not there to make money off the taxpayer. But in private industry, the private company needs to make money. And so this slide is basically saying, if you're the first person that a potential customer comes in contact with and they have a negative experience, they may choose to not do business with your company. And you won't have a job very long if that keeps happening, because the business won't stay in business, or they'll get rid of you. Because everybody, whether you're a security guard or a maintenance worker or a salesman or whoever you are in the company, everybody has to be on the same page and working in the same team. So there's that. And that's just a picture that I threw in there. I think she looks great. Her uniform is perfect. It's clean. It's tailored. She looks pleasant. She's smiling. She looks professional. That's what we want. By demonstrating constant consideration for others, the security guard can obtain the cooperation of everyone, which is essential. However, a firm attitude does not require belligerence. For example, repeated questions from a visitor or employee, even when such questions appear ridiculous, should not result in curt or discourteous responses. Security guards should be instructed to act without haste or undue emotion, not to use abusive language, not to become argumentative, and to avoid using force unless absolutely necessary. Security guards should be trained to perform their duties without assuming a threatening attitude, and they should be instructed to be impersonal in carrying out their assignment at all times. Integral to developing a proper attitude, a security guard must be genuinely interested in their job. Unless they take an interest and get satisfaction from their performance, their attitude towards the public and employees that are served may be poor. And that's true in everything, isn't it? That if you're not interested, you usually don't do a very good job. But when you are interested, then you try harder. Appearance. There's two different kinds of appearance that security wears, and it all depends on the company you work for and the kind of security that you're going to be doing. So the first one is called the hard approach, and that is talking about your clothes. It's a police style uniform and paramilitary training. The soft approach is the second one, and that is more civilian business clothes like a shirt, tie, and a blazer. So I have some pictures. The first one here, this is the hard approach. And as you can see, it looks very similar to a police officer. You've changed that word security to police, and it looks like, people that you've seen before. So this is the hard approach. The soft approach, as you can see, this is business clothing. Now, we're not hiding. Soft approach is not undercover work. It's not to trick anybody. We're clearly identifying ourselves as security. It's just that the environment calls for a little softer approach, so people maybe aren't intimidated. To give you some examples, say a museum, security at a museum. They're probably going to go with the soft approach. Who's visiting the museum? Families, kids, senior citizens. You're not talking about a bunch of people drinking at a concert of thousands of people, which would require more of the hard approach. So it depends on the environment, and we can talk more about this in our Zoom meeting. Security guards follow two types of security programming. They are the hard and soft approach of security orientation and application. The hard approach utilizes a police-type uniform and training of a paramilitary nature. This approach has been historically used in the private and governmental sector. In recent years, the shift has been to soften the approach and demeanor of security guards and to alter their appearance to a blazer, slacks, shirt, and tie, which in certain environments is more conducive to a cooperative and/or professional public relations posture. With the exception of undercover security guards, they must be immediately identifiable as security professionals, and further be aware that their appearance is a reflection upon their client or employer. Since good personal appearance is generally accepted as a counterpart of ability, each security guard should be clean and well dressed. Appearance is important because visitors will gain a good impression of the organization. Employees in the facility will have more respect for the security guards and for the security organization. An individual security guard can influence, either favorably or unfavorably, the opinions of a large segment of people. And of course, the same is true in law enforcement. We talked about that a lot. 99% of all police officers can be doing the right thing, and you take one that does the wrong thing, and all of a sudden, the entire profession is colored by that one officer. The same thing happens in security. Knowledge of the job. Security guards are always learning. A security guard should be familiar with facilities, patrol routes, people, employer policies and procedures, changes or updates, local laws and rules, and emergency procedures. And that's just a picture I put in there for you to give you a visual. Learning is a never-ending process for security guards. For example, requirements or rules as well as locations and areas requiring protection change frequently. It is vital that the security guards be thoroughly familiar with the facility if they are to do an efficient job of protecting it. In addition, they must have complete knowledge of the organization/company so that they can perform the public relations aspect of the job, such as giving information to visitors or employees. They must be familiar with all state and local laws, company client rules and regulations, safety, fire, and emergency plans, and first aid guidelines. And this is where I'm going to pause this part. I'm going to end it, and then I'll make a second video. It'll be slide 24 through 46, the second half of this.